The Climate and Nature Bill falls as MPs vote to end the debate. We're going to read into this more from the BBC, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the BBC with the headline that the Climate and Nature Bill falls as MPs vote to end the debate on it. A proposed law compelling the UK to meet legally binding targets on climate change and protecting nature has failed to clear its first hurdle in the House of Commons. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit that like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So this is about the Climate and Nature Bill, guys. And I did a polling a while back asking about whether it was right for Labour to shoot this down, and some dumbass made a comment basically claiming that that this bill would actually stop people being able to buy their homes, apparently, which is like if you read the bill, it actually says it stops people buying their homes, and I'm just like, I don't even need to read the bill to know that that's not true. Like, it was just such an obscure, pathetic comment to say that the Climate and Nature Bill would actually stop people buying their homes. Let's just not play stupid comments like that. It was just absolutely obscure. Now, I'm kind of torn on this bill because here is the thing. Now, the arguments that people are making is that they are not turning their back on climate. What they want to do is try the objective that they want to do is they want to stress that they are still for climate, that they are still for renewable energies, that they are still for down that pathway. What they are trying to primarily focus on is growth, improving the economy, improving people's lives, and ensuring and guaranteeing their place in power in the next 4 years, in the next couple of years. That's what they're looking to try and do, Labour. And Labour see this Climate and Nature Bill as a barrier to some of that, and an obstacle for some of the infrastructure projects that they want to impose going forward. Even though that they do want to meet their climate obligations, some of the climate obligations would be in direct conflict to some of the infrastructure projects they want to do, because we are in desperate need of lots of projects to get done, and this Climate and Nature Bill basically would get in the way of them. Now, is that right? Is it right that Climate and Nature Bill, is it not important? Of course it's important, and I know it's important. I've discussed it many times, and I know that many people don't watch videos on whenever I do stuff specifically on climate, because I see you guys deliberately and intentionally looking at other videos and not the climate ones, because you don't want to talk about the fact that climate is directly responsible to why our planet is getting warmer every single day. But it's okay, you can keep sticking your head in the sand and keep believing that, but you know, either you will, your opinion will change, or you will die in the face of a lie. One of the two. The reality is climate change is real, and it's having a massive effect on the world, and it is mainly by man-made, and we know it's been by man-made, by the fossil fuels, by the fossils and emissions that we are producing. Now, Labour and the UK government specifically have made strides, and I've even said this during the Conservative eras, is that while I think the Conservatives have not done as much as I would like, they have made some strides towards green energy. Have they done enough? No, absolutely not. But we have done better than some others. We are certainly not one of the worst when it comes to climate. There are a lot of other countries who are far, far behind on it. People talk about China, for example, as a prime example. Like, China has really gone down the green path, pushed themselves a lot more. They still rely on some fossil fuel energies and whatnot, but they are pushing towards green energy, and we're seeing the likes of France. France is another example of a country going down in that right direction as well. And considering that we're an island and we get lots of gales of wind because of where we are positioned geography-wise, it makes lots of sense for us to rely on wind energy, because guess what? It's free energy. So, but there are other barriers, obviously, in this bill. to the progress of actually ensuring people's lives. And the crux of this question that you need to ask, guys, is what is more important right here, right now? Is it dealing with the climate change, or is it, for the Labour government, ensuring that they deal with this cost of living crisis so that people feel better off about themselves, so that Labour can stay in power for another 4 years at the next general election? Because this climate and nature bill will get in the way of their progress. And that's the crux of the problem. I'm not saying it's right that Labour did what they did, but I also understand why Labour did what they did as well. And as someone who is someone who is a big supporter of the Green Party, and of course they were for this bill, I can understand the anger, frustration. But my also fear is that if in the next several years we get a reform government, or God forbid the Conservatives come back to power, we will be in a very, very bad position. We will be in a very, very bad position when it comes to our climate. So I proposed law compelling the UK. So I read that bit, apologies. So the government won a motion by 120 votes to 7 to end the debate of the bill, meaning it will not return to the House of Commons until July and is unlikely to become law. The climate and nature bill had been proposed by the Liberal Democrats MP MPs Savage. However, she said she would not push for a vote on the bill itself, having agreed to work with ministers to find a way forward. The Green Party leader Carla Denyer said she was disappointed by the agreement and urged the government to give us real commitments. Denyer told MP Savage had agreed not to push for a vote. It seems for just a meeting with the Secretary of State for Energy and Net Zero, with an agreement to work together but with no specific commitments. In reply, Savage said she had been an environment campaigner for 20 years, now tried to placard waving, but now wanted to take a policy approach. As the third party, the only way we can do that is by working with the government. Ahead of the debate, group environmental campaigns, including TV chef Hugh Fenley Whittingstill, gathered outside Parliament. Whittingstill told the BBC that she had heard really worrying noises about the government is rowing back on support for the bill, and that some Labour MPs had not been pressured to reject the proposal. Downing Street spokesperson has said, the UK has a well-developed legislative framework with legally binding targets, including the Climate Change Act of 2008 and carbon budgets. During the debate, Environment Minister Mary Creese said the government took its targets very, very seriously. The bill was required the Environment Secretary to create and implement a strategy with annual targets to reduce its carbon dioxide emissions and reverse the degradation of nature. The strategy would be formulated in collaboration with a citizens' assembly and a group made up of members of the public. The bill would also call for a more joined-up approach between tackling climate change and nature loss. Savage acknowledged that the UK had already signed up to various international commitments, but said her bill aimed to close the ambitious gap between what is needed and what is promised, and the delivery gap between what is promised and what is actually happening. Before becoming an MP, Savage rowed across the Atlantic, Pacific and Indian Ocean to raise awareness of marine pollution. She said that on her journey she learnt the power of nature, adding, there are laws of humans and there are laws of nature. Whether or not the bill makes it into human law, for sure the laws of nature will ultimately prevail. Labour MP Clyde Lewis expressed his support for the bill and also appeared to take a swipe at Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who earlier this week signalled her intention to bring back expansion into Heathrow and Gatwick airports. They're going to do that. That's going to happen, unfortunately. Lewis said airport expansion would be the wrong direction and argued that the economic growth could not be prioritised in overprotecting the environment. You cannot have growth on a dead planet. You cannot have a viable economy unless the climate and the nature of your country or of your economy is working together in unity. The bill also had support from two Conservative backbenchers, Sir Roger Gale and Simon Horde. However, the party's frontbench spokesperson Andrew Bold opposed it, specifically objecting to the role of the Citizens' Assembly. He said a government minister would be legally bound to follow proposals of the Assembly and unelected and unaccountable members. That is not how decisions are made in this country, and it's not how decisions should be made in this country. That's funny, given that the House of Lords are not elected bodies either. Are you for disassembling the House of Lords by any chance? No, of course you're not. Bowen said his party wanted to reduce our carbon footprint and pave the way for other nations, but it had to be a path that they would actually want to follow. If the bill means green levies, soaring bills, the highest energy prices in the world, boiler taxes, job losses, and rejecting our ability to produce fuel domestically while increasing imports from abroad and generating low tax revenue. As a result, nobody will follow this path. I don't like the way that's been framed, if I'm honest. But here's the thing. Like I said, the thing is that I do believe that Labour do care about the climate, but I also think that they are, like I said, I think they are thinking about the next general election. Right now, they are not well liked. Many people are very frustrated by Labour. They have made some very bad decisions very early on. And this year, they've got to show some progress. People want to see what Labour are going to do. This year, 2025, is all about let's see what they do. They've got a full year in power. Let us see what they do in that full year. Let's see if there are signs of progress. Let's see if there are signs of the changes that are made. That is going to be the question. So I think that's the best way to respond to this fall of this bill. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you guys make of the climate and nature bill falling? Do you think it was right that it fell? If so, leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you think it should have passed, why do you think Labour rejected it? Do you agree with me that it is to do with about economic growth rather than the climate? Let me know your thoughts and more on all this down in the comment section below. If you found this if you found this video informative or helpful to you, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. If you want to go one step further and financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.